I like to think of this as maybe like an American Tale. You know, you're just hanging out with some mice. Yeah, there's a family of mice that are really entertaining, and then some of them sing sometimes.
They sing sometimes. That was the most sad. Don't. No.
Beneath the bed. There we go, Nathan. You're killing it.
You're listening to the Janchi Show, hosted by 3 Korean American adoptees diving headfirst into what it means to be adopted, Korean, American, and more. And now, here's your hosts, Nathan, Patrick, and KJ.
Welcome back to the Janchi Show. It is I, your favorite host,
Get out
the egotistical, maniacal Patrick.
Oh, God. Here we go with the big head again.
I think when we do intros now, and you guys let me go in, I gotta
You're never
take
doing
it. I'm
another
gonna run with it.
Patrick is now barred from
Just
intros.
kidding.
Welcome back to the Janchi Show.
You take it, KJ.
No, that was good. Okay. Welcome back to the Janchi Show. It is I, Patrick, one of your exquisite hosts, alongside my 2 running mates, Nathan and KJ.
Not so exquisite.
They are just as exquisite, if not more spectacular than I. Why do I keep saying than I? I don't know. That sounds professional.
You're a dictator.
It sounds professional.
Podcast.
I'm dictating onto the podcast.
Sure, that's a way to take that.
That's the type of dictator I am, just a speaker, an orator, if you will. We are very excited to be back. We have a great show and interview lined up for you today. But before we do that, for the new listeners, Nathan, please tell them what Janchi means.
Thank you for that, Patrick. Janchi means... KJ's looking at me like, oh, whatever. Janchi means feast or celebrate. It is what we are using from the word doljanchi, which is a first birthday celebration. And we are celebrating our Korean adoption heritage, our history, our experiences, and having a good old time doing this podcast. So we enjoy that you are here. Thank you.
We do enjoy that you are here.
I am happy to bless you with my presence.
Yeah, we have a really great show, a really great conversation with Hanna Lee, author of The Ones Who Misbehave, and we talk about a whole lot of stuff. KJ, what do we talk about again?
We talk about being smooth like butter, like criminals undercover. So that was a great chat. There's a lot of singing in the episode. Yeah,
not
I
by me.
I haven't edited. I've literally only gotten to the food because that was the first thing that we did. So.
Oh yeah, that is the first thing that we did.
Yeah, I haven't edited any more than that, but it's a really great conversation.
Spoiler alert for the food.
I remember being super fun, and
We just ate butter.
Well, Hannah is, she's traveled a lot of places to attend a lot of different rallies over the past year, and is really getting out there in terms of activism, which also led to the book that she wrote this past year, The Ones Who Misbehave, about a Korean adoptee and her experience. Just like Jen Frederick with A Heart and Soul, this is it's a fictional adoptee narrative, which is something we don't see a whole lot of. So it was really fun to talk to her about that and learn the inspirations for what that journey was like. So
I really appreciate her sending us a copy, too. I'm looking forward to diving into that. So,
yeah, totes.
Thank you for that, Hannah.
totes.
Also, she is the third now fictional Korean or fictional adoptee author with Lauren Sharkey being
Oh yeah,
first.
exactly.
So I think now that makes us like equal parts fiction and memoir or nonfiction authors.
Good.
Is that accurate?
Is that accurate?
I don't know. Fact check us, Janchi people.
It's fine.
We
tell
were
us
about
what
to
we've
sit
done.
here and think about it. I was just
No.
about to sit here and think about it,
Yeah,
but we don't have time for that.
We are
We ain't
equal
got time.
opportunity. Just like we are this month of June, which is Pride Month.
King of the segue.
Segue.
King of the segue.
Wow.
So
That was amazing.
yeah. I think it's really important. We were talking about this off air, but we think it's really important to be loud and proud for our support and encouragement for the queer community, LGBTQIA plus community, however you identify, whatever pronouns or sexuality or whatever that you choose to label yourself with, wherever you find yourself on the gender and sexuality spectrum. We're here for you. We know as adoptees who are new to needing allyship, to wanting allyship, and to being allies, we know that the intersection of gender, of sexuality, adoption, and everything in between makes especially queer adoptee journeys really difficult and nuanced and hard, even as like it's hard enough being one or the other, and being both is especially unique. So however, wherever you are, wherever you're listening, we just want to let you know that we're here for you, and that hopefully our show, as much as it can be a safe space for you, is we're doing our best to make that a reality.
Definitely.
Perfect.
Love is love.
Yeah, love is love is love.
Love is love is love. And with that, we're going to go ahead and get to that interview with Hanna Lee. Roll it. Welcome back to the Janchi Show. We have an excellent interview for you today. A guest I've been really excited to talk with, and I'm very excited we could get her on the show. Please welcome. Wait a minute. What am I doing? What am I doing? Please welcome. What is this?
You're just letting me
Everyone,
go. I don't know.
stop what you're doing. Pull over on the side of the road and clap your hands for the Hanna Lee.
Maybe there was
Don't crash,
alcohol.
no. Keep
in
both
some of
hands on your
those.
wheel, but also stop and pull over and then clap for us so that she can hear it whenever you.
And I appreciate everyone clapping. I'm having trouble right now with the words. Hanna,
It's the
thank
McDonald's.
you for... It is totally the McDonald's. Hanna, do you want me to do that again? Should I run that one
Nope.
more time?
No,
It's okay.
I love
Perfect.
it.
Listener,
Hanna,
you'll
whatever you
hear
wanna
about
do.
the McDonald's later in the episode.
Hanna, thank you so much for joining us. How are you doing today?
I'm really good. Thank you so much for having me on.
You show
Absolutely.
have some wild energy right now.
We have some wild energy. We have some wild BTS energy. We got that pin up. We're trying to get it out right now.
Spoiler alert.
It's like the McDonald's crack has us all like amped up right now.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to conjure some of that up into this really excellent conversation. So we're going to start this off the way that we start off all of our shows, and just asking for you to share as much or as little as you want about your adoption story.
Okay, I was adopted when I was 4 months old, so I came over to Kansas on Kansas Day. So my Grammy calls me her little Kansas sunflower, which is so cute. And she sends me a card with used to be a savings bond, but now is a check. Every anniversary of my Kansas Day arrival, which is very sweet. And it's weird because on my adoption paperwork, it says I'm from a place called Mokpo, but I Googled it and it can't find it. So I don't know what it is. And has anyone else heard of that? Mokpo?
I felt like I watched us all go for our keyboards.
Like it's
Start looking.
like
I was gonna Google, but then
M-O-K-P-O-K.
I'm assuming Hanna has done her Googling
Yeah, so
job.
this says it's a city in Jeolla Province, South Korea. This is Wikipedia that I'm reading from. Southern tip. Mokpo.
Mokpo.
Mhm.
Okay.
So,
Has it been like renamed at all? I know that some cities have went through like a name change, right?
I don't think so. I mean, it's in, southern, it's like southern western tip of the peninsula. Mokpo.
So how far away is that from like Seoul?
I mean, Korea's not very big, so I would guess 3 or 4 hours, maybe.
Huh, crazy.
But like you'd be closer, like the other city that you might know of, you would be closer to like Busan, but so Busan is also a southern port city, but it's on the eastern side of the peninsula.
Okay. I know.
Geography lesson.
I was like, I know nothing about Korea. I'm sorry. Like not
That's
anything
okay.
about
I know like 2%
geography.
about Korea.
Yeah, like I've not even looked at a map. I Googled that and I couldn't find it because I'm an idiot.
No,
So,
we've-
Whoa!
well,
think
it's like,
that.
he just Googled it and found it, and I'm like, I Googled it and I could find nothing. I swear. Okay.
KJ's got a Korean keyboard. Maybe he threw it in,
That's true.
in Hangul. I don't know.
Magic. Yeah, so I where was I? So I came from a place that I've never heard of before, but that's okay. And everyone else I know who's like adopted has not seemed to have heard of that place either. So kind of odd. And then, yeah, I grew up in Topeka, Kansas, and went to like the nicest high school, I guess, in Topeka, I don't know. I don't want to say the nicest. That's kind of biased to say, but it was, it's a very nice school district. And it's very white. And so, you grow up and you are the only person who looks like you at all. And you don't think much of it like when you're young, but then as you get older, this like kind of different hostility hits when you hit middle school. And that's kind of when like the worst of it started. A lot of name calling, a lot of shoving and physical violence, that starts when you're a teenager and you don't know how to process that because, even in grade school, the things that happened weren't, when you're in grade school, you really don't realize things like someone pulling their eyes back at you or, ching-chonging you or, singing the Chinese, Japanese, dirty knees, look at these kind of things. You're a kid, so you're just like, okay, like whatever. That's funny. Now you look like me, I guess. Okay, but it's like once somebody physically or verbally attacks you, it's like your life stops a little bit, I think, and then you have kind of this environment around you, your family, who have no idea what racism is. And so it's like even telling them, stuff about what's going on, they really can't comprehend it. And they treat you a little like it's your responsibility, I think. Or I'm not saying all parents do, but they can, or kind of being like, well, what did you do? What did you do to start that? What did you do for them to do that to you? It's like, well, I was standing at my locker and then someone shoved my head into it and, calls you a chink and you're just like, what just happened? But, your life kind of stops at that point. And I think you get a little stunted. And so for me, continuing to grow up in that environment, you adapt very quickly. What can I do to fit in or not fit in? And I went the route of what can I do to absolutely not fit in, to just give the utmost impression of this is what I look like. And it means like, stay away from me. Just don't mess with me. So Patrick, I know I was in your live last night. I brought up Junko jeans.
Oh yeah.
Because when I was in school, I wore, the really big Junko jeans. I wore like extra large men's t-shirts. I would, wear a lot of really dark makeup and, just kind of looked grumpy, not approachable. And so that's kind of how I dealt with it, was just, shaving like my hair really high up and underneath and then putting them in dreadlocks. Like I was super rebellious of any appearance I should have probably had. But it was, when I process it now as an adult, I realize I did a lot of that to give the impression of like, don't mess with me. I don't fit in. So just don't mess with me, and just kind of outwardly also expressing, I don't fit in. I don't want to fit in because I wasn't fitting in anyway. So yeah, I kind of grew up that way. I think as I've gotten older, you're finding or able to find people who are a little more open-minded about race and things like that. But there's just simply not enough Asian people here to have any education on even the past racism of Asians in this country. They're not taught about it. So why would they go searching for that? And so, yeah, it's really odd. I think a lot of people think it's odd that I even still live here, but people are pretty nice in Kansas, to be honest.
All things considered.
All things considered,
Yeah.
Kids are mean. They're very mean. And I'm not saying as an adult, I don't get those microaggressions or, from older people, where are you really from, that everyone gets. But it's not a place where people majority wise are opposed to anybody. I feel like strangely Topeka is quite progressive, and I think they're really trying. We have the Unity House here, or Equality House. I'm sorry. I don't know if you know about that, but it's a house that this organization bought and they paint rainbow colors and they bought it across the street from the Phelps community. Do you know who the Phelpses are? They're the most hateful group from
yeah,
that hold the anti LGBTQ signs.
yeah, like the Southern Baptist type.
Oh, they're so bad.
Yeah.
They're the worst. But because they were here, Topeka has obviously not gone the way of them, and it has kind of gone the opposite direction, I think. So yeah, like I don't have a reason to leave here because it's really, maybe ignorant people, but they're good people, kind people. They're nice.
Yeah. So I think that's I appreciate you sharing that bit of your backstory, and I think that's interesting. You talk about Topeka being a little bit more progressive, but as you were growing up and experiencing a lot of this stuff that a lot of us experienced as kids growing up in middle school and like high school, and you or maybe not adopted, but you took on this this rebel persona, like the not fit in, like I don't want to fit in because of these incidents. What was it like for you to, because I know you said it was like majority or all white in the community in the school you were going to. What was it like developing just kind of relationships? What kind of like friendships or support at that age were you able to form in your community or your circle?
That's a great question. Because if we're being honest, like I generally hung out with people who were probably not not from the best backgrounds, and not necessarily wealthy. I would actually say I probably hung out with the poorer kids maybe a little bit, or people that weren't quite as privileged.
Yeah, people from more like low income situations.
Yeah. I hate to say that because I feel like I'm talking bad about my friends. But they were, that kind of lower class of people were very accepting, and they were also very empathetic of, just being a human being who's maybe treated a different way because of a situation or whatever. But I really found that those were the people I kind of hung out with and clung to, because they were 100% accepting of me and all other races. I think a lot of people think that, poor white people are the most racist group of people, but I completely disagree with that fact because they're the community of people living in integrated housing systems with, Black and Hispanic groups of people. So yeah, that's kind of who I hung out with in school and organized a little family friend unit with.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that's what you do in those situations is when you find a group that's willing to accept you, unless you force your way into a friend group, but you make them accept you, which is kind of what I did, to be honest. But you cling to that. I think, especially as adoptees, for me personally, I'm like always searching for connection. I know I was back then, which is why I did the actions that I did to secure a friendship or to foster a relationship. But I didn't know that's why I was doing that. And so for you, like hearing your story and your experience, I see a lot of myself and a lot of my personal experience that resonates with that. But like, at that time, probably not thinking about it as an adoption related situation. Was that being an adoptee part of that, or did that come later? Did that come after that? Was that more kind of ethnically based situations that took you on that path versus like an adoptee style mindset?
I think, yeah, it was more of an ethnic reason that I did that. I honestly, strangely enough, didn't even have any sort of longing to even do an adoption search, my whole life. And I know everything's super weird to like my family and everybody now because my whole life I'm like, I have no interest in searching for my parents. I have no interest in learning about my heritage and my culture. It just wasn't something that was on my radar because I think I was like building my life. And then, of course, 2020 happens and you have the beginning of the pandemic and the president saying, these terrible things that are inciting all the people who have had these pent up, aggressions towards Asians apparently for a long time are just like, oh, now we're just free to do whatever. So, it really started then because I was forced at that point to recognize my Asianness and how it separated me from everything else I thought I knew or thought was important. And so it took that honestly to even get me looking at the adoption community and searching for other Asian connection. And thank God for the internet, right? Like because you can find, how was I supposed to know that there was this whole community out there of adoptees talking about these same things and going through the same things and having all these realizations kind of at the same time I was, and I had to learn all the phrases like coming out of the fog and all this stuff. But I was so lucky to be able to find so many people in such a short amount of time. And I think it's funny listening to your 3 individual episodes you did at the beginning, talking about how you first are like, how do I start? What do I do? And you search and you find Jerry Wan every time, Dear Asian Americans podcast. And he was one of the first people I remember contacting and just being like, I'm a lost soul floating out in space and I'm looking for community. Can you help me? And, he was always there to talk to me, so generous with his time, and really listening to his podcast made me feel connected and just, everything I saw him doing and talking about was really beneficial for me. I really needed him, I think, at that beginning step. And it's just crazy that he kind of has been there for all of us at the same time when we needed it.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
So you listened to our episodes and heard his name come up, and then you reached out to him, or did you reach out to him before that?
No, I reached out.
Patrick's about to get very angry. He's like, how dare you?
Oh, I was just interested. I was like, that's really interesting.
I reached out to him, a year ago, like a year ago
Sure.
now. So when 2020 and the whole Asian attack started, my first post on Instagram about it was like March 21st of 2020, where I started seeing it. I'm just like, oh my God, this can't be true. But it was kind of then that I got activated and in looking for community and connection. Podcasts are amazing ways to get in touch with so many people all at once, listening to their stories. So, you search Asian Americans in Google and his is like really the first kind of podcast that comes up and it's Dear Asian Americans. And you're just like, okay, this is where I start, and so you start listening to Jerry's podcast. And interestingly enough, the first episode I listened to, he was doing with Corey Angry, Eunsu Jung.
Yeah. That's a good episode.
Yes.
Yeah.
And because of that episode, I got in contact with her and she published my first article in her zine. So
Nice.
Wow.
Yes. So Jerry is just like the connection maker of Asians.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
it's
he's
kind of like the Stan Lee of
He's-
Asian American media.
Bringing everyone together. Just
always making a cameo.
Yeah.
I could just hear him saying no, and saying something super humble about not wanting the credit right now. I could just.
No,
I think he
everybody
might be
would like,
listening
what?
right
I'm more
now.
than just a casual bus driver.
Yeah, okay, I can hear him say that
Yeah.
too. That's funny. And now he's furious that we're talking about him like that on the show.
oh.
No, the thing about Jerry is he's made comments before about how the pandemic and the anti-Asian hate has, although been horrible for a lot of people and for the country and stuff in general, and the racists that are coming out of the woodworks. He has said that in a way it's brought the awareness of that, and it's brought the awareness of his show, and it's brought representation, other people making moves to create new podcasts, create new outlets, join together in a way. So good has come out of the bad, and I definitely have been very thankful for his work and of everyone else's work that has started something this year, written a book, written a song, and it's I think it's really great. So that's great that you have done your own thing with his inspiration, I guess. As a
Gassing Jerry up.
So, Hannah, I'm curious. I just want to make sure I kind of have like your story straight up to now. Is it accurate to say that being Asian wasn't really a thing that you actively thought about or pursued? Like you talked about, like not really caring about your heritage as much until kind of 2020?
Well, I mean, I did know, you obviously know you're Asian and different, but I think,
Right, yeah.
I think when you like have friends that you're friends with for a really long time, you forget. Does that make sense? And so like for a long time I've had, very close knit group of friends, and you stop recognizing that you're Asian and you're just like all friends. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
That makes
And
perfect sense.
Probably not just you too. I'm sure they forget that you're Asian. You're just
Right. Yeah.
Hannah to them.
Like my aunt, she's just like, well, you're just my Hannah. And so, that's great, but then it kind of stings, I guess, when we have something happen in your life that makes you kind of look at everything completely differently. Like maybe you've opened your eyes for the first time in your life and you're like, this is not cool. And all of this is triggering all of the things I've gone through in the past. And it's time to stop ignoring the fact that I am different and stop trying to fit in and stop trying to be invisible and start saying, this is where I'm coming from. And from this point on, I cannot just let this shit slide anymore. So I think a lot of people woke up in 2020, to their identities or maybe even to the power of connecting with people who look like you that you see getting attacked, and you just feel something inside that's like, I can't not talk about this because, even if all my followers at this point are white, and even if all of them know me to be a certain person in a certain way, this is too important for them to not recognize how this affects me and how this affects everybody if you take the time to have empathy and pay attention.
Yeah, I think that's like such a hard thing about trying to describe to literally anyone else about what coming out of the fog is like. And it's like, can you imagine living your whole life and then however many years, 10, 20, 60 years into your life, you realize that you've been doing things one-handed, but you actually have a left arm like this whole time that you just have somehow been ignoring,
Yeah.
It's such an interesting thing. But I wanted to go back just because I'm curious about this and I'm curious about how this kind of affects your story. So you said when you were younger, especially like in high school, that you had kind of rebelled and you really leaned into being different, right? With the fashion that you chose and the hairstyles that you chose and things like that. Who were you looking at because I had to work really hard to dress like a basic white guy. And now I have to work like extra hard to dress different than a basic white guy. And I went to private school, right? Which is like as deeply assimilation culture and as deeply white supremacy culture as it can be, without ever saying that, right? So I was like, yeah, this was my uniform. I didn't have to think about fashion, but I'm always so interested because fashion says a lot about you, and like can say, like who you want to be. So who were you looking to for influences in how to dress, how to cut your hair? Was it like I want to be like this person, or were you like, whatever I do, I just don't want to be like this other group?
I was into a lot of Corn and Limp Bizkit and Deftones and Orgy and all, kind of, and Rammstein. So, I kind of dressed like them a little bit, but I also took a lot of inspiration from, and I don't want to get terrible feedback on this because I know she's controversial right now for her Harajuku girls, Gwen Stefani.
Oh.
Harajuku girls. I don't know how to pronounce it.
I'm not 100% sure, but I've seen a headline or two.
Yeah,
I think,
about how
in the past couple
cultural
weeks.
appropriation, and she's getting it right now. So sorry if that's offensive to anybody to mention her, but back in the 90s.
I mean, I don't think it's offensive to like say her name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You probably shouldn't
I think it would be offensive if you backed her up. Like,
yeah.
she's still good.
Yeah.
But, she was, a very unique individual during that time with a lot of crazy fashion and, kind of girl power. And, so I, kind of all of that crazy music from the 90s, you get a little inspiration from, and Blink 182. It could go on and on and on, but just rebellious punk, oversized, like those cats that get real big and they're like, don't mess with me. That's what I was kind of going for.
Yeah, I was just curious,
style.
because I remember when I was younger, and I went to public school. That's when I was like introduced to like punk music and hip hop and all of those things. But obviously hip hop being the genre that it is, like that was a main point of diversity for me. And because it was public school in Texas, like it was, my school district had like a large percentage of minorities, generally from Latin America, but also Black people and South Asian people. And like, there's like one or two other East Asians with me. But so that was just like where my diversity was from. And so I was like, I think we've kind of talked about on the show, just like who we look to emulate and things. But I know that when I was younger, being Korean felt like a superpower, or felt like a secret identity that I could lead into, that it was a thing that I could choose to be like, well, this is who I am and this makes me different. That helped me escape from being different, like physically disabled, right? So like I could escape into being Korean. And yet, for a lot of adoptees, sometimes being Korean, like even though you're aware that you're ethnically different and whatever, like that's not an identity that we choose to escape into. So I was curious about just kind of your identity journey from from high school and knowing that you're different, and then choosing to like amplify that and just be like, yes, I'm different, and just how different that path is. I'm saying different a lot. I apologize, but
You did say it a lot, but it's fine.
How different that journey was in high school to maybe what you're going through now, where you were like, I know that I don't look like the majority. I don't live through that lens, but I am again choosing to amplify the thing that makes me unique and the thing that makes me a more diverse part of the story of America today.
Yeah.
There's not really a question in there.
I was like, I don't know if you want me to say something.
I mean, if that spurred something to say, go for it. I don't have a strong question in there.
I don't.
Just don't say the word different.
I just was.
You can though.
Oh yeah. I don't know. I was just curious about. What about that journey has been different?
I think, I think as a person you evolve, and so as an adult, I've grown out of that like crazy looking stage, I hope, and but I think inside I'm kind of doing the same thing. I got bullied, I acted on it. How do I do something about this? And then this was very internally, like an internal attack, having to see all these things happening to other people. It was an internal attack on everything I've tried to keep inside me, I guess, for a long time. But it was even Black Lives Matter and all that happening. If you can't empathize with anybody who's a victim of racism, then you're not empathizing right. You should see
Right.
any person who's getting attacked and you should feel for them, and you should not want that to continue to happen for anybody. But yeah, I think my personal evolution in my style has now been to take something that was affecting me internally instead of physically this time, but was still attacking me in the same way and making me feel those same emotions. And this time, instead of changing my physical appearance, I guess I'm putting that all out to do something, to show as much support as I can for this movement and for the people who are fighting so hard, and for everyone who's working, their 9-to-5 day job and then out patrolling in those streets in the evenings and going to these rallies on the weekend. This is their life, and I have no right to do any less. I try as hard as I can to get to as many rallies as possible, to support as many people as I can, and that's my lashing out, I guess, so to speak, at this particular event.
I was gonna say, with your lashing out, you're expressing your emotions, your feelings about this. At what point did you decide that it was going to be writing? Is that part of it, or is there more other things? Did it just naturally progress into that?
What's crazy is that I never intended on writing anything, but I was reading very rapidly. Like I read 12 books in 3 months, and I spent a majority of my time was researching. The first part was researching and reaching out online and connecting. But I just did as much reading as I could. I bought every book, that any adoptee recommended about their adoption path, or any book then I was connected to through buying that book. And I just read as much as I could, as quickly as I could. And reading those adoption stories, people's actual stories of their lives, or even reading anthologies, which are shorter stories of many people's lives, on top of the Asian hate, just, it was too much. It was too much. And I couldn't keep it in. And I couldn't figure out what I could do to get this out of me. So I just started writing, and I wrote a book in 3 months about everything that I had backed up in my mind, about all the stories I was hearing, seeing in these books, and all the things that were happening with people getting attacked and other adoptees talking about their journeys. And I took all that and I kind of just compiled it into my book, because that was my journey exactly, was just, being told how crazy I am all the time, because I started speaking about Asian hate, and just, or talking to people about racism, and they would just always just say, "You are crazy. You're so crazy. You need to get help. You need to go to inpatient treatment at this point. You're just going too far." And so, I kind of went, well, fuck you then. You want to see me go to treatment? I'll take myself to treatment in my book, where I'm going on this journey of all these other people and their stories that are so messed up too. And that's kind of what I was going through. And I just kind of narrated it as I went. So all the characters in my book are based off of a lot of real people and a lot of real interactions I was having at that time that inspired those characters. So, a lot of people are like, how many years did it take to write your book? I'm like, I got it done in 3 months, because it was all
Not even one.
It was just all there.
Well, I mean, you had lived for however many years before,
right?
And then
it's
also,
yeah, I've been writing this technically for 38 years, so, or 37, because that's how old I was when I wrote it. But
let's talk a little bit more about the book. It is The Ones Who Misbehave. I'm holding the book up
you
here
already got a copy?
because
Dang, man.
I have the copy. I have a copy. Hannah was very gracious to send me one, even though I offered to pay her for the copy of the book. I thought it was amazing. I read this book in a day and a half. Once I picked it up, I told you I couldn't put it down. I thought it was fantastic. Could you talk a little? I know you've given a lot of, like, one of my questions is going to be, what was the impetus? And I think that you touched on that very eloquently. I was wondering if you could share just a little bit of the synopsis of the book for our listeners. And then I have a follow-up question after that.
Okay. Yeah, sure. My book.
Way to go, buddy. One question at a time.
Structuring it out.
Good job. Because otherwise I'd have to be like, what was the next part? That second. So, good job.
Patrick has a habit of that.
But yeah, my book follows the main character, Van, which is short for Vanessa, through this journey of having to go to inpatient treatment because she kind of got in this altercation at work, which was a little explosive. And so she's kind of forced to do this treatment to keep her job. And in going to treatment, starts out kind of how I think everyone starts out, just fed up and done with the BS, and lashes out a lot without wanting to go any deeper into any other emotion besides anger. And then during the time here, of course, meets new people who are either already at treatment or coming into treatment. And each of their stories kind of helps Van feel a lot less alone. And in talking to a therapist about her problems, who was also an adoptee, which, by the way, should be a thing, was able to, connect with an Asianness and, this kind of feeling more included in a community that she was very separated from in the beginning. And each of these characters have very complex stories within themselves. Like I said, each of those stories are absolutely real, which makes it hard to process. But she finds this community that she's going to be part of forever now and feels connected to, and connects to other people who have gone through similar traumas, and comes out on top in the end.
So one of the things that, and then you touched on it before, that I really, really enjoyed was that, this is Vanessa's story, but it's your story. And it's a lot of other people's stories that you've heard and experienced and have been able to share. And that's one of the things that drew me in immediately, was just the resonance of reading an adoptee specific narrative from a fictional lens that really captures the experience of an adoptee, but is not, as we talked about with Jen Frederick, is not like an overarching or a universal. Like, this is a universal experience an adoptee has, but these are things that you can really relate to and resonate with. There is truth in here in each of these pages. The book has been out for a while. My question is, what has been the response from the community? You have been, like you said, this is 2020 has been the time for you to come out of that shell and to really start engaging. Then you put this book together in 3 months and you said, here you go. And, I love it. What has everybody else been? What's the reaction been?
Okay. So from like the Asian community and adoptees, it's very positive. I've gotten like a lot of really great feedback as far as, it really kind of expressing how they feel, the anger they feel, and being like, I'm angry too, and this person's angry. And so, you can relate to these feelings that are kind of, that can kind of happen to everybody. Even if one thing didn't happen to you, you can relate to something else that did. And so that's kind of been my response, is that, it was like, it's, perfect timing for this book to come out, because the racism and all those kind of things are very relevant right now. But the response I've gotten from, say, friends and family who bought it, to support me, has been quite different, in the sense that they either seem to feel guilty that all that was happening to me, or things similar to that were happening to me that whole time we knew each other, and they simply did not know it was happening, which I did not write it to hurt anybody or make anybody feel guilty. So, that's been a kind of sad part for me, is to kind of hear people from my life and who were there those years kind of reaching out and being like, I read your book and, I cried the whole time reading it, because I just didn't know that any of this was going on. And then of course you have the ones who just are kind of hurt by it. So they're not willing to see past how it hurt them. Yeah. So good and bad.
Another thing that I really loved about the book is that it's very much your piece of art, your work, but it's for everyone. It's for a lot of people, and it's very inclusive, I think. I think it is an inclusive tale. I think it's a very specific lens, but I do think it invites everyone in. And I think especially when you have stuff like that, people are resistant to things that challenge what they already know, or how they've experienced things, or how they think they thought they experienced them. And so to hear it from a different perspective, especially from a fictional lens, which is the other thing that I really love about it. I don't think there's enough adoptees that are the forefront of a fictional tale, a fictional narrative, that does universalize, or not universalize, but does allow for the inclusivity for other people. And, I guess I don't really know where I was going with that, but I just want to reaffirm you with what you've put out, because I think, like you said, this was absolutely the right time for this to come out. The story needed to come out, because we need more stories like this in our community. We need to be able to find pieces of literature like this to be able to consume, because we didn't have that when we were growing up. And one of the things that I really love about Vanessa, and who is really an amalgam of you, it's Hannah, but as this fictional character, is after hearing about your growing up and your lashing out, I can see that. I can see that in the character. I can see you here in the character. And one of the things that drew me to you was not actually the book or the fact that you were an adoptee, but was the amount of like activism work that I saw you doing. And whether that was just showing up at rallies or whatever the case was, I would have not thought that you had just started this journey in 2020. I would have thought you've been doing this your whole life, because you are, when you talk about being activated, like, you are out there. Anybody that follows you on Instagram would see that. You're literally at rallies all across the country. And I'm like, where do you even live? You are literally everywhere. I'm like, I didn't even know you lived in Kansas, because you're just literally everywhere. It's amazing. Like, it's aspirational. Like, it's aspirational and inspirational, because it's really incredible. And I was just wondering if you could talk a little bit about that piece of your work, because I think this book is part of that activism. I think this book is part of that sharing and spreading the message of community and what we need to hear right now. So I was wondering if you could just share a little bit about that specific part of your work and what you do.
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you for saying all that. That was so nice of you. I almost cried. Yeah, I didn't know what I was doing when I started, and I really was reaching out to anybody and everybody. And through that, I found a movement called They Can't Burn Us All. And it was led by Will Lex Ham and China Mac. And I didn't know who either of those guys were at all, but they were the first Asian group I saw on the streets protesting. And I wanted to get out there for Black Lives Matter. And I was scared because of what the media does and all those things. And so I didn't, I was like, I'm just gonna chill and keep writing my book and keep doing my research and working on myself. And we'll get through this. But then, the attacks kept happening. And so when I found this group, I started watching them. And then there just came a day, I kind of told my husband, I said, I can't watch these groups, out there protesting. And they were in New York, and they were in DC, and they were in California. So I went out to California for their rally, because I was just like, I think like a lot of Asians, when they adoptees, when they start trying to get involved in activist work, we can be met with some resistance from the Asian community online. Let's specify online. And it's hurtful, because you're trying to be part of a community that you've never been part of before, but have always been a part of. And then to have people kind of be like, you and your white family can just go over here, or with your white adjacentness and, Twinkie, all that stuff. So it's like, okay. So, it really got me thinking, though, it's like, I'm going to be part of this because I am part of this. So if you can't accept what I'm doing online, then I will show you what I'm about, and I will be attending a rally, and I'll get out there with the people, and I will march with those people, and I will stand with those people, and I will talk to those people in person and see how this community really feels about adoptees. And to be honest, they have no idea about adoption, about Asian adoptees, about any of it. And it was so mind-blowing to stand there and have these conversations with people who just don't know we exist. So to be like, I'm adopted, and I'm from Kansas. I'm in LA, but I'm here, I'm from Kansas. I flew out here to be with you. I'm adopted. They were immediately like, tell me more about what that was like, what that's like for you, how that's been for you. They just had no idea. And so it was learning, it was a teaching moment for everyone involved. To the point where now I've gone to so many rallies, and so many people are the same people, and they know what I'm about, and they know that my purpose is not only to be supportive of them and to stand with this movement, but also to have actual face-to-face communication and conversations with real people and learn about their lives and their culture and their religious ceremonies, how they celebrate birthdays, how they celebrate all these things that I never knew about. I've learned more from these people and having real conversations than I have in my entire life of any person's culture or history other than white history. So it's been the most education I could ever receive.
Commend you for that. It's a great thing to actually participate in these events, like you said, in person, to talk to the people
where nobody rejects you in real life.
Exactly.
Right.
The cowardness that there is on the internet of people and their comments, the haters, the trolls, the ability to say whatever they feel like they can say online because they're safe behind a computer. I really hate that, and that's it takes a lot to do what you did and just say, then screw you, I'm going to these things by myself or with, I don't know if you went by yourself.
Usually by myself, yeah.
Sometimes by myself. Wow. Again, yeah, that's amazing. So I commend you for that, because it's one of the things about the internet and social media that I've really been disturbed about, is the amount of people that just feel that they can just bash other people from behind a computer.
Exactly.
And
it's just cowardly.
Yeah, and 100% agree with Nathan. Incredibly commendable. I think that, something I've really been pushing for is, and learning, and something that I've really learned is, we can't stop the hate against us until we stop the hate against everyone. And one of the ways to do that is, like, I think when people think about learning about other cultures, it's like you can only learn about the trauma and you can only learn about the terrible things. And then it's like, oh, I don't want to learn about this because it's so terrible. But that's not what every group of people is made up of. We're made up of so many more things. And like you said, what's your birthday? Like, why do you guys do this thing this way or eat this type of food? Like, what's the joy behind it? Like, because that's what our cultures are really built on. It's about strength and about progressive movement, and certain cultures will adopt or take on traits and characteristics and policies that negate those things, like this country that we live in right now tends to do. But I think that as terrible as everything is, there are more than enough opportunities for us to come together and learn about each other. And if we're just willing to put the effort in to do that, then we can start moving forward. We can go from one step forward, two steps back, to reversing that, and always making progress. We're always at least moving a step ahead. So everything that you're doing is what I aspire to be doing, and to be on the ground, especially here locally in Indianapolis, but wherever I can get to. And seriously, every time I see a rally happening, it's just like, where's Hannah? It's like, it's a where's Waldo of the photos. It's like, she's here. Oh, there she is. Up in the front too. And I think that's the other thing. The last thing I'll say about it too is the fact that you're having these conversations about from an adoptee lens, because that is your lived experience, but that nobody knows. When some people find themselves in that situation, it's easy to not necessarily say anything about it. But the fact that you continue to talk about it and you continue to show up, where these people now know you and know what you're about, and you have built this platform for yourself in conjunction with the larger community, that's what I think I would love for all adoptees to be able to do, if that's what they want to do, in terms of sharing, is be able to get to that point where they've built that platform for themselves within the larger groups that we need to operate within. So thank you so much for your work. It's really amazing.
Thank you. You guys are so nice. It's like, because like I don't think of myself as an activist, and I don't think that's something you can like label yourself, but it's like, it's
I mean, you probably could, but it'd be like not a good look.
Everyone's talking now and they're using a term, accidental activists. And that's what we've all kind of become, is we didn't set out to do any of this. It just happened because it's necessary and because we feel compelled to speak up and do something about it, because we're just a different generation, we're just not going to do it anymore, apparently. So it's been amazing, watching everybody start talking about it in a big way. It's been incredible to watch people coming out of their shells and talking about it for the first time, even, but
Yeah.
everyone's talking about it, and that's how you make things happen.
For as difficult and hard and awful as the internet can be, I think it has really done so much for so many people in literally giving them a platform for their voices. And I know that there is a lot of gatekeeping, and I know that there is a lot of hate and energy spent on the internet, which is kind of mind-boggling to me. But Hannah, I love that you are courageous enough to write and to go places, to think and then to act, right? And I think that is a rare person who gets both giftings and who excels in both things, right? To do both of those things. So I'm really excited. And I think that one of the things that Patrick was saying, and I'm really excited to go pick up your book, but one of the things that we love on the show, and especially me, with fiction novels that center adoptee stories is it's really hard to talk about what it's like to be an adoptee in a way that isn't personal. And so a lot of what's so difficult, and I think personally what I'm grateful for you and writers like you who write fiction, especially that center adoptee stories, is it creates then a safe space for adoptees to have conversation with their families, with their allies, with their friends that they thought they're allies and they found out they weren't allies, to talk about some things that affect them personally, but that kind of take the personal side of it out of there. So it becomes then a greater and deeper conversation about identity, right? And I love that that you are bringing your adoptee identity into these rallies and into these things, because I just know about me, I'm not necessarily a rally goer. That's not necessarily what I'm not necessarily that person, and probably will be once I get settled again, kind of in a local community. But I'm not going to necessarily be the one to go and fly out there. But I think that adoptees, we talk about this kind of being a new wave of adoptee activism, and at least just identity work within our community, as we've seen in the internet, just because 2020 was such a year that globally forced people to do some identity work. So I just want to say thank you for helping to blaze the trail just a little bit for adoptees after you. And I think that's, we talked about it sounds like really that your timeline, the timeline of your journey and Patrick's journey really lines up and is parallel in a pretty unique way. And, the hope of our show is just to be just kind of guides along the journey of whether you want to call it coming out of the fog, or just figuring out who the fork you are. And just just understanding oh man, okay, yes, I am enough. Patrick, I just saw that you had posted, you're yeah, no, I'm Asian enough. And you might have written this a while ago, but I don't live on the internet, so I don't know. But I think that's such a key threshold for adoptees, especially transracial adoptees, is to accept themselves as enough and then move forward. And then, you build actual human relationships, and you're able to listen and listen and listen, and you realize there is not that much that separates us Asian adoptees from us Asian Americans. And these barriers that we feel like we're so big and so massive are actually really small. And then we get to be part of a community that pushes for change, and part of a community that pushes to make a more beautiful world. So thank you so much for all that you do, for as much as you've shared on the podcast, as much as you have shared in your book, as much as you have and will share in your life, just for being such a fantastic part of our community and doing so much. Where can people find you if they want to support you, if they want to be like you, if they just want to say hey, you're the greatest? Where can people find you on the internet to give you love?
I would say find me on Instagram. I'm on there all the time. It's become my life now. It's kind of crazy.
That's what I'm saying. There's a lot of energy spent on the internet, and I don't get it. I appreciate it, but I don't get it.
Yeah, it's constant. I have an Instagram live I have to watch after this. But you can find me, the Hanna Lee, on Instagram.
Perfect. All right. Well, Hannah, thank you very much for coming on the show. And we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we will be diving into the happiest of meals. Maybe not quite, but certainly a very fun Korean American fusion food item. So we'll be right back.
Smooth like butter. Welcome back. We just had an incredible interview with Hanna Lee, and she is joining us for an excellent meal. Nathan, tell the audience what we're eating today.
Well, it is trending across the country, and it is the BTS meal from McDonald's.
Whoop whoop.
I was waiting for cheers and applause, but not
No, no.
dead silence.
Not to be
Just
confused with
thunderous
behind
applause.
the scenes meal. This is BTS, the musical group sensation from Korea. That's about all I know. KJ, what do you know about BTS?
I know literally nothing about them. This is one of those times when I just know that they're a popular boys group and they are fine. I listened to some of their songs and
Didn't you cover one of their songs?
no, I thought
Oh.
about it.
Oh, okay.
I
But
can
actually, a
ar-
lot of their songs have a lot of like English and stuff, and so I'm
Yeah.
like, well, I want to like challenge myself, not
I see.
cop out. So
I can already hear a few specific fans screaming at
Here's the deal.
screaming at us right now.
I just explained this to my family. Actually,
BTS.
my thing is like I feel like the K-pop boys bands. I feel like they're all like, I'm a sentimental, sweet, emotional boy, and that's what my music is. And all the girl bands are like, I'm a freaking boss and I'm gonna rule the world. And I'm like, I want that energy in my life. I don't need sweet, sentimental boy energy in my life. So I end up listening to more girl K-pop groups than guy K-pop groups.
Well, that makes sense.
So
Good.
Hannah, what do you know about BTS?
I know that my 14-year-old's friends love them, and that's all.
Okay.
I thought there were going to be more degrees of separation. My 14-year-old friend's uncle's dog actually was featured as the dog in one of BTS's music videos,
Whoa.
So
but it just stopped.
it's funny that you say that, Hannah, because Emily, my fiance, she's an 8th grade English teacher. She has a student named Emily who is obsessed with BTS and Korean culture. I believe she started listening to our show.
Oh,
So, Emily, when you get to this part of the wherever you at or whenever you have gotten here, I know that you recently tried the BTS meal, and I'm sorry that I don't know very much about BTS. One day I
Jeez.
will. I promise.
I feel like I know more about the BTS meal than I know about BTS because it's like
Exactly.
all over Facebook right now. I mean, I don't know how many people I've seen post photos of them eating it or a picture of it, and I'm like, oh, okay, so BTS has a meal. I'm like, well, that's cool because hey, great, let's get some representation out there where we have.
Have you seen
Korean
how much
culture.
the bags and like the wrappings and sauces are going for online?
Oh, really? People
Oh,
are
yeah.
selling them.
Like the
Wow.
bag, just the BTS paper bag in pristine condition is going for like $30.
Yeah,
Wow.
Is this it? Is
$30.
it? Is that with the
That bag-
purple on it?
Yep, that says
It says
Oh, I
BTS.
see it.
BTS meal.
International people want
Oh,
them.
what the heck? Why didn't I get it? Man,
Oh, see, sold
I'll
out.
pay you for it.
Sold out. How much
What
are
are you
gonna
pay me for it?
KJ?
Like 2 cents. I'll
This
pay
meal
I'll pay you
costs
the cost of
$7,
shipping.
so I gotta at least get 8.
So, from what I can tell of the BTS meal and what I've seen online, the only difference to this McNuggets 10-piece McNugget meal is the sauces.
Mhm.
Okay,
So-
that was my immediate thought on it. I don't know how in we should be going on the meal. I've always get critiqued by our producer for maybe potentially describing the items that we try on here not the best ways sometimes. But when I was getting ready for this, and when I knew we were going to do this today, I was like, yeah, I got a bone to pick. I feel like it is just a 10-piece McNugget meal with 2 sauces.
So you don't have a bone to pick because the chicken McNuggets are boneless.
That's true. I got a
So-
bone.
McDonald's
I
McDonald's
like
was
that.
like,
It's like a
I'm going to
dad
go
joke.
ahead and take away the bone that you could have picked. Yeah,
All
Nathan,
right.
I'm trying. That was my best Nathan
Good job.
impression.
I like that. Applaud you.
Okay, everyone, read me your best Korean.
Sweet
Sweet
chili.
chili.
Nice, we did it. But can you say it like a Korean?
Sweet chili.
That's pretty
Sweet
good.
chili.
Chili.
Is that
I
really how you say
cannot
it?
do an Asian
Yeah.
accent to save my life.
Chili. And then this one is Keijun.
Kejun.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's
the one with
actually
the
an
heart.
interesting thing because I feel like with the accent, I feel like when I talk about it like that, it almost seems derogatory, but it's not because I'm trying to speak the language or the words in
Yeah,
that
you're literally
way,
pronouncing
and you
it the
go
way
into
that.
it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's sweet chili.
I was gonna say it's got to be a fine line. I mean, how you're pronouncing something if you're looking at it, trying to pronounce it correctly, versus when you're imitating something that's maybe in a humorous way. I think that would be different. But I get what you're saying on that totally because I have done some things like that. But this specifically, now here's the thing that for your bone picking, Patrick, these are limited edition sauces.
Oh man, so you're saying that by tearing off the lid, I have already degraded the value
Yes,
of my.
and if you really love the sauce, you'll never be able to get it again.
The BTS meal, the McRib of the Korean or the K-pop groups.
This is the McRib.
This is the Korean McRib.
K-pop
Is that what you're saying?
sponsorship?
There you go. Yeah.
All right.
Both
So
the
it's-
sponsorship and the meal itself.
So
I'm
who
diving
knows?
in.
Maybe they'll come back with it again. I don't know, but
Not after
but
this
yeah.
review.
I don't know. Hey, I'm
have
all
to take
for
a
limited
picture of
edition
it.
stuff. Come on, this is
You
right
are.
up my alley.
New. That's right.
Yeah, this
It
is
came in
new.
on the show.
Whoa.
When you told me that we were going to do this, I was all on.
You
board with it.
immediately. I don't even think I finished sending the message about the BTS meal, and Nathan had already responded yes.
I was like, yes.
Somehow read my mind
this.
and was ready
Yeah.
to go.
It's called Morphic Fields.
And here's the other thing: is I normally do not eat like a whole lot of chicken McNuggets. I always get the burgers when I'm there. So that's me. What about you, Hannah? Do you frequent the?
Oh man,
chicken
it's the
McNugget
nuggets.
world?
It's the nuggets.
Okay.
Whoa. Okay. Interesting. What do you like about them?
It's I don't know. It's something. They're not like Wendy's or any of the other nuggets. You know, look at it.
But like, what sets them as the notch above
Yeah.
the rest of the
It's
fast
the
food
crunch.
nuggets?
It's that crunch. I think.
Okay.
Okay.
You know,
Okay.
good crunch on a fried piece of food.
I hear you.
All right. Which one did you guys try first?
I'm
I've
already
tried
on
them
both of them.
Yeah.
You tried
Oh,
them
yeah.
both already. Okay.
I
let me
did
catch
one
up.
nugget and I did both.
Let me catch up.
You were bragging about how you only eat burgers, and I was like, well, I'm just going to
sorry.
try both of these sauces. I had the sweet chili first.
Mhm.
Here for it. It is
Yeah.
really, really good. And I don't know how to describe it any more than really, really good.
Sweet and spicy.
It is sweet and spicy, but it's got like a type of spice that is familiar to me, and I can't place it. Like it's not like it's like buffalo kind of. Like you know how buffalo sauce has like a specific type of spiciness, like hits you in a specific way.
Mm-hmm.
This
Like
just made
that's
me-
what.
Oh, go ahead.
What?
Sorry.
No.
It made me laugh because, not from when we're recording this, but last night in this real time, I did a Instagram live with Jordan Van Hemert, and he's talked about how buffalo was his absolute least favorite taste.
I was so shocked.
Really?
Did you see
Yeah.
my comments in that?
Wow.
No, I couldn't. That was when I couldn't see the comments. So I
was
missed
just
them.
like, that is like my most favorite sauce ever.
I know, that's
live
what
on it.
That's what I was saying. I was like, that's interesting because I really enjoy buffalo sauce.
Yeah, me
So-
too.
Sorry,
Yeah,
Jordan, to
so-
bring that back up, but
Don't get the sweet chili from BTS sauce because
Well, it's not that.
I don't
buffalo.
get.
It's not
I
like
didn't-
strict-
It's funny. I don't get that buffalo taste really.
Yeah, I don't get too much of the buffalo. The Cajun one, however, is describing if anyone has not seen it. The Cajun one is more of looks like a spicy mayonnaise.
Mhm.
It's kind of like an orangish cream sauce, whereas the chili sauce is more like a sweet and sour, like a sweet chili, like you would see with a Vietnamese egg rolls or something that you can buy, in the bottles. That's what I relate that.
yeah, but
more
like
to.
darker and more.
But darker.
Well, it has
Actually,
some
and
heat to it.
it does. It's
Yeah.
hotter than I thought. But
Yeah.
McDonald's did a hot spicy McNugget thing last year too. And I tried those, and those were pretty good too. They were spicy. It was spicy nuggets and a spicy sauce. And that was probably the last time I actually had chicken McNuggets. Was that
Speaking of
promo,
buffalo,
because it was
when,
new.
when I used to frequent McDonald's, that I would always order an extra packet of buffalo sauce or a side packet of buffalo sauce. They got a good buffalo. I don't know. So,
Mhm.
Hannah, what do you think of this Cajun sauce? Have you
This
got?
Cajun sauce I like it. It's like toasty. I can't describe it.
It's got a Cajun, like a smoky.
Like a smoky flavor. Yeah.
smoky.
It's good.
And the creaminess of it is good too, I feel.
I'll say that when I smelled it, I thought it smelled like a Thousand Island dressing. I thought it smelled exactly like that, but when I tasted
That's
it,
kind of what it
it's
looks like.
very
But
much
yeah.
not that.
Yeah. I'm not gonna say like furthest thing from, but it's like it's pretty far from it. So
These are pretty good sauces.
yeah, I'm for it.
I would buy bottles of these, little bottles.
Yeah.
So I'm curious. Did any of you think that they were going to come out with more of like a gochujang style sauce?
No, I thought the meal was going to be not just we're going to take an existing meal and add the most basic complimentary thing to it and say this is now a collaboration with a Korean group. I thought it was going to be something way different.
But wasn't there like a thing about when Mulan came out in the early mid '90s that they did like a
Yeah. Mulan Szechuan sauce.
yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Did y'all have that?
I don't know if I
does
did.
it? Okay, because
They brought it
I didn't
back.
even. Yeah. So, but was it the same as the? I don't know. I feel like when Mulan, the live action movie came out, there was like some chatter about the McDonald's Szechuan sauce. So I don't know. So that's like when I heard about this, I was like, oh, it's like the McDonald's and Mulan partnership, but different.
That one was really dark. The
Szechuan?
The Szechuan sauce was very dark. It was more of a dark. I mean, it would be something like on a kung pao spicy chicken dish or something like that. It was definitely different. It wasn't as sweet as this one is.
Yeah, I didn't even like that one.
Yeah.
I don't think I ever had that. I don't think I ever tried it.
I was definitely too young, and my parents were like, "You're not eating McDonald's." And I was like, "But I just want a Happy
Smart.
Meal." So,
Your parents are
whatever.
smart. My
Wait,
parents did it. Were just like, "Here's the McDonald's," and I'm like, "Okay."
To their credit, I was probably like 3 at the time. So, like, you're not old enough. So
You're right. That is really. That's
they're like,
good
"We'll give it
parenting.
to you if you can say it," and be like, "I can't say it."
I will say, I thought that even if it was going to be just a meal like it is, that there would be a BTS something in the bag,
Like a sticker
kid's
pack?
meal, but like, give me a toy. Yeah, give me a sticker.
Yeah.
Even just like this, it could be a penny-sized sticker.
What?
I feel
How
like-
big are the U.S. pennies that you're using?
They're this big. I got a bunch of $50 custom made to only cost 1 cent.
You know what you got, Patrick?
They're mostly made of
you
aluminum
got
foil,
a bag, okay?
Not real. They're mostly not real.
but they are minted by the U.S. Department of.
If you kept the sauces, you could have stored them on your shelf, and then sold them later down the road for hundreds of dollars.
Big bucks.
I'm gonna keep my bag.
Yeah, because they would have still been good at that point.
Hey,
Like,
there was-
McDonald's builds their food to last.
The
can't
sauces
remember.
probably would be.
Who did it? Some company did it. It was either, I want to say either Popeyes or Chick-fil-A, or somebody had like a limited edition sauce that everybody was freaking out. Or was that the Szechuan
Rick
sauce?
and Morty. They did a sauce that people
Yes,
freaked
the
out
Rick and
about.
Morty sauce. You're right. That's what
Yeah.
it was. And it was like selling for like hundreds or something of dollars.
Oh, I thought this was a bit in Rick and Morty. I was like, I
No.
believe that.
Well,
No,
it
it was-
was at
They
first,
actually
and then they
did
made
it.
But
it.
it was
Rick
originally,
just is obsessed with the
That's really
Mulan
funny.
Szechuan sauce. And
Oh
he
yeah,
talks
that's
about
what
all
it
the
is.
time. All
Yes,
the time. Yep.
we
And
pieced
so-
it together.
And they all the fans are like asking to bring it back because of Rick.
That's really
Yeah, they
funny.
brought it back for like 1 day, I think, and it was just complete chaos.
Well, this would have been more authentic if you had opened like a bottle like they do in the BTS does.
We should also have butter playing very
I've
low
literally
in
not
the
seen
background.
any of their. No, we would definitely get slammed for copyright.
What if we just sing it? I only know the very first line. Smooth like butter, and then I don't know the rest of the song. Is that it? Is that even the line? Give me the line again.
Line.
Oh my
Patrick
god.
is asking for a line reader from a producer that doesn't exist.
There's no one else in this room, just myself.
Like,
Sorry.
line.
Chomping on my crispy nuggets.
Yeah.
Can't
And
help
it's
you.
like
Oh,
this
man.
is how much we know BTS.
Yeah.
Like, the perfect example. It's like, we don't know. We don't know.
That's where we're at.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know.
We are hemorrhaging followers. All of our
Good for
accounts.
them. Good
I
for
mean,
them.
we're gaining all the other followers who are like, I know that I should know BTS, but I
Right.
don't. And I finally found people who are honest about it because I can't. be.
Congratulations. That's all I have to say. Good job.
Like, should I be learning
Sukami
about? Should
BTS.
I listen to them? Who
If you like-
recommends?
If you like sensitive, emotional boy band music and some summertime bops,
But it's not
then,
like emo music that screams like.
no. It's
No.
just like it's like I am emotionally intelligent. like just that. So here's some Korean and there's some English because I speak 2 languages. Like that. So
Good. Very
some
nice.
gentle guitar and an 808, so you
And
know
then a
that
cool
I can
beat
groove, but I
in the
got some
background.
feels.
And some
like
nice
that.
dance moves.
So and then some dances. Yeah.
Yep.
So
For those who watch.
anyways,
That's
so that has been our
beautiful.
review of BTS
I'd
meal
almost
from
rather
McDonald's.
listen to you do that a whole album.
Same.
I think, to be honest.
Janchi people, let us know if you want to hear KJ ad lib his
Freestyling music.
Yeah, freestyle a
Singing
K-pop
what he's
album by
doing and
himself.
what he's thinking about.
I
I'm
do
brushing
that.
my teeth and now I'm going to the market.
Brushing my
That's just
teeth
business
and then I'm
time.
going to sleep. That's my contribution.
Thanks. That was about as good. Man. I do have to say, so these French fries are better with the Cajun sauce, I think, and then the sweet chili is good.
Oh,
Ooh.
dude, I think it's
Yeah.
the
I
opposite.
agree with that.
You said better
I
with the
think-
Cajun?
Because I'm a ranch French fry guy, so as people will know, so it's got a creamy sauce.
I think if you're gonna eat something with a sauce, then the thing that you eat with the sauce needs to be like sauce first, right? So, which actually I think is a really great choice for the chicken McNugget. But because of the thickness of the Cajun sauce, the chicken McNugget pairs really well with that. But I think that the sweet chili sauce is better with fries because the fries allow the sweet chili sauce to be more of the hero of the flavor in your mouth, right? Whereas if you eat sweet chili sauce with a chicken McNugget, you're like, there's a lot of chicken McNugget for however much sauce I just ate. So that's my particular pairing of choice. I have
How
not
about this?
cross-dipped yet, though.
I'm cross dipping right now.
Oh, dip!
2 sauces
Oh,
in one.
dip!
Dang.
And?
He just passes out.
And?
Boom.
We lost Nathan to the other dimension.
Head explodes. It is
What'd you-
creamy. It is sweet. It is spicy. It is a combination of all of those now. I think that was a pretty good bite. You guys should try it. Unless you're out of it already. Then I'm sorry.
I did try it. I'm about out of sweet
Oh,
chili.
crap.
Man, I haven't had McDonald's fries in a while.
I know they're
It's like I'm back
they're
on the
addicting.
wagon.
They're very addicting. I was eating them in the car, and I have to say, I don't think there's ever been a time when I've picked up McDonald's French fries and not had to eat a few of them while I was driving home.
Mhm.
I
Yeah,
think
it's the
it's
only time that
impossible.
they're good.
I think that's fries in general. Like, I do that whenever I get fries from anywhere I'm driving home. I'll always eat a few fries.
Well, McDonald's, you got us.
All right, yeah. Ratings.
Yep.
Hannah,
Oh.
what do you think? What would you give this out of 5 McNuggets?
Individually or collectively?
As a meal as a whole.
Yeah,
I
just
don't-
rate the BTS meal out of 5 chicken McNuggets.
I'd give it like a 3.5
Okay.
Whoa, okay.
Any particular reasoning?
because the Mulan Szechuan sauce sucked, and these are epic. Like you said, I would eat either of these, but with any other food, anytime.
Sure.
Pretty good work.
Mhm.
But because it's McDonald's and it's very unhealthy, it gets lowered. So it's the 3.5.
That's
I
a
like
rough
it.
time. Sorry, McDonald's. You're just out there being you, killing the game, and that just automatically handicaps you into any game that you put yourself into.
Well,
But you asked for it.
It's true. I mean, we all know McDonald's is not a health food.
We've all seen Super Size Me, okay?
Exactly.
We all
know.
Yes.
So, I have to fall back on everything in moderation. So, this is like the first time I've had McDonald's in over a month, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And so, health wise, I'm not gonna blow up. I might
Yet.
but I do like eating this every once in a while for sure. It brings back memories of my childhood, which maybe means I ate it too much as a child. I don't know, but yep. I think as a whole meal, the sauces, each of the sauces were good. Yeah, I'll give it a 4.25.
4 1/4.
Yeah.
Okay.
4
up there.
1/4. I'm giving it a 4. Oh, sorry. I just
No, you're good.
steamrolled you right there. I tend to do
Good.
that. I'm finding out.
Hey, man, I'm just here to bounce back like a tennis ball.
Bounce back.
Like a tennis
Bounce back
ball.
like a something.
I gave it a 4. I think honestly for the same reasons of health that Hannah noted. Like if it was like I made these nuggets and fries, and then it was the sauce, a 5. The sauces on their own, which for sure would eat again, but I can feel that my heart has stopped and all the blood is no longer flowing through my body because my arteries are clogged from the salt on the fries. So 4 out of 5.
That's a series wrap on the Janchi Show. We're down 2 co-hosts at this point. Nathan exploded twice.
He did.
And Patrick is just slowly dying. I'm going to give this a 4 because on the whole, here's the deal. So marketing copy for the BTS meal said, best enjoyed with fries and a Coke. I prefer Dr. Pepper over Coke. So this isn't on you, BTS. It's on you, McDonald's. Don't tell me how to live my life. Okay, so
It's a good old Texas boy for you, right
that's
there.
a thing. That's a markdown number 1. Markdown number 2 is you can only get these sauces with the BTS meal. So, like, if I could get this, but like with a burger, that would be amazing. You know, like to be able to double dip my double quarter pounder and that would have been awesome. So I'm giving it 4 out of 5 double dipped sauces because I just feel a little limited. I feel a little boxed in, but really for what it does, I think McDonald's is crushing the game with these sauces. So forget health considerations because that's as soon as you said McDonald's, you said you don't care about that for right now.
That's
So
very true.
put that aside
That is
and just say
absolutely
4 out of 5. This is good.
I actually got a Coke because of that same marketing.
Marketing.
Not a joke. I'm like, well, I'm just
Don't
gonna
be
get
a
Coke.
sheeple, Patrick.
Yeah,
Well, I like
Come
Coke
on.
better than Dr. Pepper.
All right. Well,
Well,
now we're just not friends. Now we're
yeah.
just fighting.
And that is the death of the
Take
Janchi Show.
that, Texans. Well, I went with coffee, as you can see, because,
I thought that was milk.
I'm an
Oh, I guess
adult,
it's like 3 in the afternoon
and
for you,
I
right?
need caffeine, so
Okay, yeah, that's fair.
sorry.
That's fair.
I just came up with an idea, and maybe I'll do this for another episode, but BTS meal and a hamburger, put the sauces on the hamburger and a couple nuggets in it as well.
Gross.
A couple nuggets on the burger and then
Yes.
dip the burger in both
It's
sauces.
a chicken
Nope.
burger
Nope.
BTS sandwich.
I like the name of that actually. Chicken burger
I think-
BTS sandwich.
There could be something happening there.
Yeah.
Nope.
It's all
For
about
sure.
fusion,
For
KJ.
sure.
It's all about
We can
fusion.
get into it on our next solo episode, and I'll explain to you why I
KJ
think you're
has
wrong.
jumped out of the window. He is
I
not
have-
happy about this.
Goodbye.
Cows and chickens should not be mixing. Okay.
Oh man.
I get it.
Alright.
All right. Well, that will definitely be
Yes.
followed up on for sure.
Well, that
Yep.
will.
All right. Well, Hannah, thanks again for joining us. Please, for our audience at home, where can people find you? Where can they get your book? How do people get in touch with you?
Okay, well, you can go to my website, which is thehannaleewrites.com, and get my book, or Amazon and Barnes & Noble. And then it's going to be coming out a couple other places soon, but I do not know where yet. Sorry, what was the other question? Where else can they find me?
Yes.
Instagram and Twitter. The
Perfect.
Hanna Lee.
At
The Hanna Lee.
I just about said at Instagram and Twitter, but it's at the real Hanna Lee. Perfect. Well, you can find us at Janchi Show on all the social media platforms. You can send us an email to janchishow.com or Janchi Show
dang it.
at justlikemedia.com. We would love if you go to the website, janchishow.com/support, and you can see all the different ways that you can support us here on the show. And if you're feeling really froggy, we'd love for you to hop over to Apple Podcasts and leave us a rating or review and subscribe to us wherever you do get those podcasts. It really helps us, and I love to see those things come through the inbox. So you can find me
froggy.
at very froggy. You can find me at Patrick in the World on Instagram or on my website patrickintheworld.me.
You're the worst.
Ribbit.
You can find me at KJ Relke on all the places that I want to be found. Or if you want to see what I do, I also have a website. It's Relke. Oh, it's kj.relke.info.
It's a lot of dots.
Well, I just wanted to pay for one domain, and subdomains are free, so I got smart about it, bro.
Okay. Hey, dot it up, man. It's better. It's makes it work. Whatever. You can find me at Nowak Photo on Instagram. I also have a website, nathannowak.com. I just wanted to be included. It's just
Yeah.
wedding photos, but yes, feel free to enjoy them.
You are always
Pictures of
included.
brides and grooms.
Nathan's gotten married so many times.
to Allison, we should clarify they've had multiple weddings, multiple weddings.
Yeah, every year actually.
Tangent real quick. We actually were at a hotel one time and there was a wedding of a Nathan and Allison, and we jokingly said we should crash it.
But you didn't crash it?
No.
What the heck?
Wow.
I know. We thought about it though.
Who said to not crash it? Did you both make a joint decision or one of you?
I think we both did.
Okay,
It
smart
would have
answer.
been rude.
Diplomatic answer. I like it. All right. Well, that was another episode. So I guess we'll go ahead and hang
We
it up.
did it.
And
Yay.
We'll see you next week.
Yeah. Okay. Janchi, hey.
Janchi, hey!
Bye.
I forgot how the show ends.